And we're live, streaming to you from the footsteps of New York City. We are Music Matters with Jason Tramm, and thank you so much for joining us for our unique podcast community, where we explore the issues and challenges in the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. Please remember lost my microphone there. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. I love the technology is amazing when it works. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. We love it when our audience likes and shares our videos as we are a growing community. We just hit over 1,300 subscribers and we're delighted with hearing from you. Remember that you can chat in questions of our guests, which we love. Our conversation gets so much more interesting when the audience joins in. We have a wonderful guest today. We have Ashley Bean, an independent rock artist who's making some great music and really that opening track you just heard, doing some great art. So welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure, and I started listening to your music, and I just like, wow, this is special. It's really a groovy sound and kind of heavy and real rock and roll.
Yeah, I definitely take that inspiration from Joan Jett. A lot comes from her. I growing up listening to her, I grew up listening to ACD. A lot of the oldies I listened to, but yeah, Joan Jett's like been my main focus of like wanting to be her and stuff. So I kind of been inspired to kind of write how she did, and yeah, she's an awesome artist, and I just love her.
Great comparison too. She was also a really low voice and but she took classical lessons, I believe, as well.
Yeah,
Did,
yeah, she
did you
is
study
awesome.
voice? Have you
I just
studied
love
voice on
her
your journey?
Yes, I started getting into music at the age of 10 years old when I wanted to play guitar. And later down the road, I decided, you know what, I want to start singing. I started singing a little bit in church. I started playing in church right around 11, 12 years old after I got some lessons in. And then I really wanted to take it off with my voice. So I started taking vocal lessons right around the same age. And I've been through a couple different vocal teachers. I just want to expand as much as I can and learn as much as I can as with as many teachers as I can to help with my voice, because when I grew up, I had such a low voice for a woman, which was very strange to have.
I was going to say when we were in the pre show, we were just chatting, and you have a really high speaking voice for someone who
Yeah,
sings so low. And I'm a conductor. I work with singers for a living. I was just like, that's really impressive.
yeah. For the longest time, I had the lowest voice, and I take that from my aunt. My aunt has the same problem where she can only sing low. And when I was growing up, trying to take vocal lessons, I struggled to hit high notes for a woman. It was strange. It was weird. And eventually I broke through, and I'm now like, depending on what I can do with my voice, I can reach pretty low tenor baritone to low soprano now.
That's great. And you're a contralto, if we were going to use classical terminology, which is the lowest of the female voices. But it's learning how to stretch and access your head voice
Yeah.
gives you so much possibilities as a vocalist.
Yes, I learned that right away because I was just so restricted to singing very low, just tenor and stuff. I'm like, I could sing all these guy songs, but I can't sing any girl songs. So I really worked on my voice over the years, and it's came so far. I'm like, wow, I actually have a range now.
Now, you were mentioning you come from a musical family. Tell us what it was like growing up, and where are you from? Where are you talking to us from today?
I am from Peoria, Illinois. I grew up in a small town called Elmwood, Illinois, and it's a little town in the middle of nowhere. And I moved out to Peoria about 3, 4 years ago, and I've been here ever since. I come from a very long line of music. Both my grandmothers on each side. My one grandmother, she was a singer with her father who played with string bean back in the day before the Grand Ole Opry. He actually won the exact same contest as String Bean did back in like 1930 or something like that. It was a long time ago. I actually have the picture of him standing with his guitar on one side of the stage and String Bean with his fiddle on the other side of the stage. And
That's Americana history right there.
it is awesome. I was like, that's so cool. And then my grandmother on my dad's side, she plays drums. My dad's sister, she sings, plays bass, keyboard. My dad, he sings. And then there's me.
It's wonderful that you had all that music in your household growing up. And
Mhm.
do you play with your family members still?
At times, my dad he likes to play the drums as best as he can at his ability, but he still does it, and he'll be like pulling out some Johnny Cash or AC/DC, goes old country or rock and roll. That's him. Growing up listening, that's what I listened to, was old country and old rock and roll.
Now, how did those styles coalesce into what you do? And when did you first start writing songs?
Oh man, I first started writing songs at, it had to have been 13, 14 years old when I started testing the waters, writing my music, and really taking my time with it and perfecting it over and over and over again. Sometimes I would take a song and work on it for a full year, change verses out, change this out, that out, just to make it even better. So I started off at a really young age, writing those songs. And like, What You Deserve, I think I wrote that song back when I was 16, but over the years
Whoa.
I took so long just working on it until I was happy with it. And yeah, and now it's on my current album.
So that's been sitting. You've been that's been in the pipeline for such a long time. Has
Yes.
it changed a lot since when you first wrote it? Since when
Yes,
it
it
came on the
has.
album?
I actually worked with a vocal teacher, and I was presenting her some of my music. Like, I need some advice on this, like with my vocal range, the way it was at the time. Like, I want to stretch it. I want to make it sound cool. I want to make it pop in the chorus. She's like, let's try this out and that out. And I started taking those and using what she was giving me advice on with my vocals to like throw in some growls. That'll give some texture and like hit these high notes here. And like, it really it made the song come together even more.
Well, I hear the influences. Like I hear some of your. So you've said you're Joan Jett for sure.
Hmm.
Who are some of the interests, your influences at that time when you wrote that song?
Oh my, it was definitely a lot of the old bands. I love Van Halen. I love AC/DC. I love all the older bands. I have a little bit of a grunge sound as well, like Nirvana. I love Nirvana. Um, Eddie Vedder with some of his vocal techniques. I didn't realize that I had a little bit of Eddie Vedder, his style, until somebody told me, like, yeah, you kind of sing a little bit like him. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, it's the we all kind of are around music and we kind of
Hmm.
absorb what's there that we like and we kind of make it
Yeah.
in our own way, and that's just part of being who we are and finding our path. And so your first songs, how have you grown as a songwriter?
Oh, first starting out, I was little shy doing a lot of things, and I really worked. I wanted to come out of my shell more and more. I wanted to do life experiences. I wanted to tell my story through my songs. Like, I have a story to tell, and I want to do it through my songs. So maybe I'll be able to touch somebody else through my music, even if it's just one person. I've succeeded. And my songwriting kind of started off like, little like, I guess, like little stories here and there, fairy tale stories, whatever. And then it turned into like reality stories, and I really started like, I want to talk about my life, my journey, my this is my story, and I want people to hear what I have to say. And it really progressed further and further with my music with that. And yeah.
It's certainly it's so tied into your life and who you are
Mhm.
as an artist. And what's it like when people like write you or they send you messages on any of the platforms where your music is played? What's it like hearing from the audience about how they're affected by your music?
Oh, it's amazing. Like, I get people messaging me from overseas. Like, I got hit up from a fan from Germany just the other week. I'm like, oh wow, he likes my music. Like, it really is inspiring to see people like, I love your music. I'm from Russia, or I'm from Australia. Like, this is so cool that people that really like my music. I don't know who I am. I'm not this crazy huge artist. I'm just a little old me in a, I guess, a big town, I guess you could say now. But yeah, I thought it was so cool seeing people from all parts of the world just coming together and be like, I really like your music. Your music inspires me. It sounds so cool. It sounds so different. It's unique. I love it.
It's exciting. I mean, and that's the amazing part of technology today is it doesn't matter where you're from,
Yeah,
as long as you have something to say, you can get you have a platform. Everyone has a platform, and you're building that platform and you're touching people. So that's exciting. That
yeah,
indie artists today have their unique voices. They can get their voices out there.
exactly. Yes.
And have you always wanted to be a rock singer?
Yeah. Ever since I was little, my mom will tell you that I started bugging her about playing music at the age of 7, 8 years old. Like, I want to play guitar, and I bugged her for like 2 years straight. And I'm like, I want to play it. I want to play it. Something's just telling me. I don't know. It was like a weird feeling, just like deep down, like, so you just got to just pick up an instrument and start playing it. And she finally gave in, like, okay, fine, we're going to get you a guitar. We're not going to get you a cheap one. We actually went to a music store and actually bought a really nice little acoustic guitar, which I still have. It's this tiny little, it almost looks like a little
Aw.
ukulele. It's so tiny. And I started taking off with it. My parents were like, well, we're going to test the waters with this, see if she sticks with it. And sure enough, I stuck with it.
Now you're playing that really flashy Gibson guitar.
Yes.
What do you like about those Gibson guitars?
Oh my gosh. I love the look of them. I love the feel of them. That Gibson guitar is actually very unique because when I went to a guitar store, I actually bought that guitar and they first got it in, and then a year later, the headstock snapped. I'm like, what just happened? And I took it in, and they said, well, this is Gibson's fault. This is not your fault. It's a clean cut. You could tell this is done wrong. So they sent it back to Gibson. Gibson gets a hold of me. They're like, okay, we're so sorry that we even put this guitar out there. That was a mistake. It should have even been out on the line. But like, we would like to custom make you a new guitar. So I'm like, okay, I'm down.
Cool.
I'm down. So I love the pearl white. I wanted to keep it the original the color, the pearl white with the black pick guard and the gold brass all through the pickups and stuff. And they actually, because I told them that I'm a very small person. I'm not that large of a person, and Gibsons are very heavy. So they decide, okay, we'll put that in consideration. We will make your guitar even lighter than the standard Gibson. It's about maybe between 5-10 pound guitar. It's not very heavy at all. Like, I've compared it to other Gibsons, and I'm like, yeah, there's a huge difference.
You're playing packs of punch. My son's got a cherry red Gibson, so we're fans of the Gibson guitars too.
Cherry red, that's another pretty color.
They're beautiful instruments. And
Yeah.
I grew up watching Slash play, and was like, oh man, watching him with the guitar with the cigarette, and that guy was a
Oh yeah.
rock star. Who are some of your guitar influences?
Slash was one of them. Definitely, obviously Joan Jett. I just loved her, the female artist getting up there just rocking it with the guitar. Just that was another one. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of anybody had a guitar that played rock music. I love, like, Jimi Hendrix was another person. Loved him.
Eddie Van Halen certainly this year,
Mm-hmm.
certainly in our thoughts and prayers. As he passed. Been a tough year for rock and roll. We saw Neil Peart go, and we saw Eddie Van Halen go, but it's great to see rock artists coming up. That's so very exciting to me.
Yeah. Eddie Van Halen was an amazing guitar player. That is, my boyfriend is actually a huge fan of Eddie. Like, that is his, like, idol, I guess you could say.
Is he a musician as well?
He is. He plays guitar as well, and he actually owns a Gibson guitar. So we call each other the Gibson couple, I guess.
Oh, that's great. The couple that plays together. That's awesome. Yeah, Van Halen, boy, you look at that band, and it's one thing about them is not only was he an incredible instrumentalist and visionary in his way, they wrote hit after hit after hit. Man, it's incredible. It's like they had such an incredible well of musical material.
Oh yeah. Oh, Van Halen. I loved their music, and I loved David Lee Roth's voice. It was so unique, and it was different. It wasn't like the best sounding voice, but it was perfect for Van Halen. I couldn't picture anybody else singing it besides Dave.
His squeaks and his squawks and his fun pyrotechnics. I grew up on the Van Hagar. I saw Van Hagar twice, and I grew up with that sound in my head. But my older brothers, they grew up with the Van Halen, and they wouldn't consider that Van Halen. It's very funny.
Yeah. Everybody's always asking, are you Hagar or are you David? Like, which one are you?
The fact that they can work through multiple lead singers is pretty incredible.
It is.
So now your band and your music. When did you do your first studio recording?
Oh, I first did like an EP back when I was like 15 years old. Started testing the waters with recording because I've never done it before. I'm like, I want to do something like not too overly expensive, but something to get me experience within this. So I started off at a very young age. I actually had a very good friend of mine. He's retired now, but he's well known through the industry. He's played with some of the biggest artists, and he's actually one of the top blues keyboard players. He was, I think, top 5 in the world at the time for best blues keyboards. I mean, amazing keyboards. And he came in. He's like, "I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you have this amazing experience. I'm gonna lay down some keys for you." And it was just an amazing experience to have. And then few years later, my first album came out, and I was in my 18, 19 years old when I actually went into a professional studio that's done big bands. I'm like, all right, I'm going to lay some money down on this one. I'm actually going to go all in on this one. And I loved it. The experience was amazing. And learning what I could when I was in the studio of just everything, just the acoustics, the recording, the how to do sound engineering was so fascinating to me. I'm like, I cannot
Take
wait.
us in the audience who are not recording artists. What's it like to step in the studio, and how well prepared do you have to be?
Oh, when I step into the studio, I have this adrenaline rushing through my body. I just love it. The producer is like the coolest guy ever. He's so laid back, and he's so easy to work with, which I think is so awesome. And he's so open to suggestions, and he will sit there and help you with things to make your song even better. And when I go in, I'm like, I just I feel so relaxed when you work around some good people that are like that. So I prepare myself as much as I can. I practice the songs the way that I want it. And then when we get in the studio, usually it changes.
That's awesome. Give us an example of how things can change in the studio and what influences that.
Oh, I could be singing like What You Deserve. There's like a breakdown in there where there's like hardly any guitar playing, and before I had just music straight through, and he's like, let's try to break down, let's do kind of like a break in the middle to where it kind of makes the listeners listen even more, like, oh, this is a cool part right here, and then bring it back into the chorus again. I'm like, I like this.
That was really sharp. That
Yeah.
really adds a lot of punch to that song. Great,
Yes.
great suggestion. I did stop. I said that is really well done. Yeah, that song really has a kick to it. It's like it's gritty, it's raw, it's everything rock and roll should be. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's really really impressive. And I heard that for the first time, and I just like, wow, who is that? I'm like, awesome.
Yeah, I definitely took a lot of inspiration from Joan Jett, the growls and stuff. I really wanted a punch in the face type song, and that was the song.
Well, you're doing her proud. So what was next? So you got the studio for the first time. You got your chops. Like anything else, I'd imagine studio recording gets better the more you do it and the more
Yes.
comfortable you get. And how
Yeah.
have you grown into that?
Yeah, I definitely, after my first album, I obviously was starting to do shows, starting to test the waters with doing my own band, because I started off playing in a cover band a little bit at a very young age, going into bars at the age of 15 and just playing. And I'm like, I'm going to start testing the waters with my own band, get some members and see how this goes. And we gradually got better over time with show after show after show. And eventually I was like, all right, I'm ready for this next album. I'm loving where this is going. So
Live performance is that cauldron where it all comes together, right? And
yeah,
what was it like putting your first band together and being a leader of a band? What type of responsibility is that?
it was amazing. Like, I can't even describe it. It was just an amazing feeling. Like, I'm leading this band. This is my project. This is my thing. This is something I want to do. And I just got people backing me and supporting me. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Just having people behind you that like your music, that want to play it, that want to go out and play with you and support you doing it at the same time. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
And you said you started with cover material. What percentage of your sets would be cover, and what percentage would be original, and how did you kind of balance that out?
I try to keep it mainly original, but I like to throw in a cover or two to kind of twist up the show a little bit, um, like, oh, we got a cover right here, and try to I throw in like a Joan Jett song or like an old '80s song to kind of fit in with some of my songs that would kind of just flow into that. And everybody likes it. Every time I would sing a Joan Jett song, I'm like, oh, I love how you just sang your original song, you went straight into this Joan Jett song, and it fit perfect.
And that's why you go to live music, to see something interesting and not just done one way, but kind of twisted in your own way and kind of
Yes.
make that music material your own.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely the way that I've been doing things. And I've been really just over this past year or two, ever since COVID started happening, I've been buckling down on how my new appearance is going to be. I've been changing my outfits. I've been changing my look. I've been changing a lot of things I've been really getting into following like a lot of what Alice Cooper did, what Marilyn Manson did, and what Ghost did of this whole not only just playing a show, but also like doing some theater and some getting into that kind of stuff. Because I really want to give people a show now.
That's great. Well, the show is so important when you're a rocker, getting out there and being your persona. And who are some of the best bands on the stage today? Well, not today because no one's on the stage today, but like some of the best bands who currently are playing, in your opinion.
I really got into Ghost a lot. I really liked their whole just they brought into the church thing. I thought that was so cool. And he comes out in different outfits. I paid attention to that. Like he's a pope one minute, then he's another character, then he's another character. I really like that.
That's clever, and it'll be fun to see how you incorporate that into your sets.
Yes.
Now, as your career started growing and you did these, you started working bars. Have you served as an opening act for other bands?
Yes. I've opened up for Warrant, uh, 80s band. People
I know them well. I grew up with that. That's my
um,
music from my middle school years.
yeah, yep, I've got to play with those guys. I've been doing a lot of things with a lot of like smaller national acts, opening up for them and working with them and creating a relationship with them, which is awesome.
What's
Uh,
it like being on the road with a band like that that's been around forever? Are a lot of the members still original from that band?
um, well, obviously, I do believe the lead vocalist had passed away.
I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if all the ones are the original or not, but I do know they had to get obviously a different lead vocalist. But yeah.
Were they cool? Were they like really supportive of your music? What's the feel like when you're on the road?
Oh my gosh, the adrenaline is just absolutely amazing. Like the fans are kind of like what doing when you're on that stage, you just feel the energy. These people, they're ready for it. They're hungry for it, and you can just feel it, and you just feed off that energy. They're feeding off you, you're feeding off them, and it just feels amazing on stage.
Getting up there and just kind of letting it all rock out there, and yeah, that's got to be so exciting. I love. I take my kids to lots of rock shows, and we get to sit there and watch. And some of the opening bands come up there and just absolutely destroy.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like I think Bullet for My Valentine's one of those bands that gets up on stage and it's like they rip your face off. It's like, okay, now we're ready for the second band. Oh boy, here we go.
We saw a show in Asbury Park a couple of years ago. We saw, who was it? We saw Stone Temple Pilots were the headlining band, and I grew up with that, so I liked them a lot.
Hmm.
And we saw, who was the band we saw? Oh, it was, they were fantastic. It'll come to me, but they were just absolutely, I thought they upstaged the big band. I thought they absolutely, they took over, and I just love that. I love to see, and I've been like such a fan of, I love to watch the bands and as they come up and to see who's opening for whom, and
Oh yeah,
it's exciting to see.
it
And I, I,
is.
I tell my kids, I saw Alice in Chains open up for Van Halen, and they were unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I saw an interview with Sammy Hagar. He was friends with Alice in Chains, and when they came on, and he goes, here we are, we're wearing women's clothing, and the times were definitely changing, and these guys were wearing jeans and t-shirts. They were like, what the heck? And he goes, I was so nervous when these guys played.
I bet that was pretty cool.
It's a culture shock between those two very different musical styles,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, I got the teased hair and hairspray and the crazy leather print, all that.
Well, it's interesting to hear. So, what was so? Give us some stories from the road. I love the stories of live performance. I'm an opera conductor, so I tell everyone behind the curtain is way more drama than actually you see on the stage. So,
Yeah.
what's some of the drama you can have in a rock show?
Oh, well, for one thing, like meeting the other bands, like that's another thing. Like I just love talking to the other bands, hanging out with them, and hearing their story, and just creating a friendship out of that. That's something that I've learned, that I've done for so long, is that I've created such an amazing friendship with a lot of musicians, just hanging out backstage, and I started at this one show that I was playing at. I got to meet actually an A&R rep that is she's pretty well known, and she's took a liking to my music right away. She's like, I really like your music, and she's like, could you give me some of your albums? Like, yeah, no problem. And she goes, I really like what I'm hearing, and I would like you to see if you'd like to go with me up to Chicago to see Seether. And I said, yeah, that's no problem. I like to go do that. well, this woman had signed Seether. She signed a lot of big bands, and she's like, I want you to meet him, and I want you to get it. This was an amazing experience. We got to go backstage at the House of Blues. I didn't get to play the show, but I got to experience it backstage with a really big band. I think Blackstone Cherry was there, and I
Yeah,
can't remember
sure.
the other band that opened up for those bands, but we were backstage with Seether and Sean Morgan. He just kind of took me under his wing, and it was a one-on-one conversation. He was giving me advice about the industry. He was just giving me advice about everything. And the dude was so cool. And he invited us up on the tour bus with him. All the band members are just amazing people. And that was an experience I will not ever forget. It was just mind blowing. The advice they gave me, and it was just like, wow.
We all need those mentors, people to kind of believe in our work as we get to the next level. And
Yeah.
has that inspired you to kind of rethink your work and kind of how you've shaped your career?
Yeah, it's really shown me that when you're on this path with your music and you're moving forward with your music, and it's important to have that hang. They always call it that hang with other musicians, because you can learn and have that experience with that other musician. They can give you advice, you can give them advice, and you can also mentor to other young artists that are just starting out, like where they were at that same level that you were when you first started out at. It's awesome. It's like you're kind of reversing the roles. Like, okay, I used to be where you're at. Now I'm going to give you advice, and then you're going to give advice to other people. I thought that was so cool, and the way that Sean Morgan just taking me under his wing and giving me advice. He didn't even have to do that, but he did. And I thought that
Well,
was
I
so
think
cool.
these great artists, these big artists, they have nothing to prove, right? I mean,
Mhm.
some people are naturally competitive, I find, in the music industry, but some are just so giving and they just want to see people do well. And I think
Yeah.
that we all have to be there and for other people because it's never an easy journey, the artistic journey.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I saw when I saw Sean, the way he was talking to me, giving me this advice. Like, he wants me to do good. Like, he was so cool. He's like, "Can I have one of your albums? I just want to take a listen to it." I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Well, when you have something to say, people want to hear it, and
Yeah.
that's exciting. And so we hit this COVID period, right? And how has that changed your life?
Well, right now, haven't been doing any shows due to, because there's just been so many restrictions, and bar owners, venues, they don't know what to do. Like, do we have shows? Do we not? Do we only bring in this many people? Do we not? A lot of the places around here just completely just shut down. Like, no shows. You're not coming in. And so I took this time and started to really work on the business side of things. Like, well, if you can't go out and play shows, if you can't record, what else is there to do? Oh, I guess I'll start working on the business side of things and really start pushing my music to radio. I've been really working with really some awesome people that have been helping me from uh, from out of California, and they have been absolutely amazing. They've been really pushing my music with some distribution deals, and really pushing my stuff to like try to get into movies and commercials, and really push, which is a good thing. I'm like, well, there's nothing really much we could do with COVID, so I might as well start pushing radio and pushing all these other places to get my music out there and into the right hands, to where at least I'm getting something out of this.
Yeah, it's so important that artists find a way to get their material out there.
Yeah,
And forever, the most important way is live performance. But if that disappears, how do we find ways to to maximize our digital footprint? And that's very
yeah.
smart in finding new avenues to release your music. As an indie artist, I think we have a great platform. There's so many platforms to get your music out there. How have you developed those avenues?
I've been really been pushing a lot on, obviously, social media, and I pay attention to a lot of the radio DJs that are out there, because with the whole COVID thing, I've been seeing a lot of radio stations been very kind to a lot of artists. Like, okay, since you guys are not playing, like, we're willing to play your music for free. Like, send us your material. I'm like, I'm jumping on it.
That's
Like,
great.
I'm gonna do that. And on any Spotify playlist, like, hey, add your music to this. We're gonna get your music out there. So I really look for a lot of that stuff. Like, I'm gonna try it out. If it doesn't come up to anything, oh well, I'll just move on to something else. But that's what I've been really focusing on, just pushing a lot on social media, pushing a lot to radio, pushing a lot to a lot of magazines and articles. If I see any magazine, like, I'm gonna try it. If they don't want me, that's fine. I'll go to the next. But if they do, perfect. That's getting my stuff out there.
You got to be proactive in this career, right? There's a lot of music out there, and to get your voice to be heard.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for young people, especially young girls who are coming up and who want to have a career in music?
Oh, really, what I've learned throughout the years is learning to listen. Something that I have learned is learning to listen to other musicians, because you're gonna learn a lot from those people that have been doing it a lot longer than you have. Listening, being respectful, being humble. I found that just those three little things can get you very far in this industry. You can create amazing relationships to where people are like, well, let me help you with that loan. Let me guide you down this road. I'm very big into helping other artists. Like I will. I'm also like an A&R rep for Bandonomium, and they help artists. And I got into that because I like helping artists. And I'll start listening to bands, or bands start getting a hold of me. I'm like, have you checked out our stuff? Like, we like to build your fan page. We like to get you into shows. We like to do this for you because it's really hard. This industry is brutal, and I really like helping other artists get where they want to be with their music.
That's wonderful that you found a way to an additional way to support the music industry, and kind of as you do your music, you can help other people as well. It's really a
Yes.
great it's a great a pivot there.
Yes, I when they offered me this position, I was like, I jumped on it. Like, yes, I would love to. This is something I've always wanted to do, is not only be a musician, but also help other musicians that are out there that are struggling, that may not know, like, what's my next move? What should I do? Well, this is, maybe you should try this. If it doesn't work, try something else. There's always different paths. Everybody has their own path to making it. You just got to find that one.
And making it is such a different thing for different people. Like, what does it mean to make it such
Yeah.
a different concept for different people?
Yes. Yes, it is. It definitely is.
So tell me what it's like. You started at a young age, and to be an indie artist today, what does that mean to you?
Oh, well, I just like being myself, and just going out and playing music. I like to, obviously, to tell my story and stuff, and being an indie artist. I don't know. I just really like that independence. I don't like that being held down, strapped down, I guess you could say. I like to be who I am, tell my story, and inspire others to do the same thing. Because you don't have to have like a huge record deal to make it. You can do it on your own. You're gonna be grinding at the wheel a long time, but it's worth it. You can do it. It has been done, and you can definitely do it by social media the way that it is today. You can get your stuff out there to independent radio stations, and marketing places, that and networking with other bands. That always helps, that help with your music as well.
It's great that independent artists. I mean, I think that there's a huge boom in indie artists, and in supporting indie artists. There's a whole industry of people who really like that, because I think back in the old days, the record companies would create these, like, not plastic, but kind of these like fake images of artists, and there
Hmm.
would be this mystique around them. But I think today, as indie artists, people want truth.
Yeah, I have been finding myself more and more when I've been in my music, and being able to have all this control over my music, control over my image. I've been playing a lot with my image, to where I wore like the cool leather, like the Joan Jett kind of look. Now I'm getting more into, I actually had like custom armor made, and I'm getting into like the theater look, and I'm just like, I really want to put on a show to where people go to and be like, I'm gonna remember this person.
Like maybe a concept show. That's going to be really cool. That you find that. Now, when you do the videos that are on, I've seen some of your videos. How do you put those together? Do you have to hire a director? Do you produce them, and do you help put those together?
With my music videos, I do work with a videographer, and we come together and we create an idea. We toss out a few ideas. We toss them around and try to figure out what we want to do, and the meaning of the song, and what we wanted to make it pop. But I do work with a videographer, and we kind of collide together on ideas, and for the music video to make it look good, sound good, make it look awesome.
It's amazing. Like I've had a couple of different guests on who have videos, and we're talking about like you could spend so much money, or you can have it done really creatively. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be really expensive to be accessible today.
I've learned that my when my boyfriend, he played a show with Alien Ant Farm, and the lead vocalist gave him some advice on videography, music videos. He told my boyfriend, like, our label, we spent $500,000 on Smooth Criminal, and he's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to spend that. Like, our next music video that he told my boyfriend Sean about, like, we only spent $200, and it was the same exact quality as that $500,000 music
Ooh,
video.
that's not good.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's amazing what we can do today. I mean,
Hmm.
what was possible with the generation before is now can be done by talented people who have vision.
Yep,
That
exactly, and that's what I've been doing. Like, I found this a videographer. He's done bands before, and he's like, I don't charge bands because he was a musician himself. Like, I know how hard it is. I'm not gonna pay you or I'm not gonna have you pay me $1,000 to do something that I can do for 200. Like,
amazing.
awesome.
That's a good person to know. I know
Yeah.
my son's a videographer, and he does all of my he does the show, and he also does all of my my professional conducting videos. And we've been working for years, but it's so nice to have someone you can know has a good look and knows how to
Yep.
make it look good. And it's so important today that you have the video has to be out there, the YouTube,
Oh yeah. That visual, people nowadays, it's not like back in the old days where you saw a poster on the side of a wall like Van Halen playing here. You want to go see them. It's people want to see you first. Like, they want to see videos, they want to hear your music first before they come out and see you. Like, okay, this sound looks like a pretty cool band to go see.
got to get out there. You got to be on all those platforms. I was telling my kids because they've grown up in this generation. You know, think about Led Zeppelin flying into town. Robert Page didn't have social. They didn't know what he ate that day. It was like when
Yeah.
he flew into town, it was an event because nobody knew anything about him. So now
Yep.
these days we know everything, right? We know so much more about the artists and their lives, and there's a connection with the fans. And I
Oh yeah.
wonder. You wonder, it's like, what would have been like if he had social media? What would Robert Plant have done if he was?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It would have been so strange. It's so different. I can't even imagine living back then with no internet and how it would have been back at that time. It's crazy.
It's interesting. He said, if you could have lunch with any rock artist, who would it be?
Obviously, it would be Joan Jett. It would have to be her. She, being a woman in the rock industry, she started off. I've seen an interview with her where, women were, I guess, appreciated back then playing rock and roll. It was like a new thing, and like men were like, "What is this?"
Her, Pat Benatar, Lita Ford are some of the
Yes.
names, some of the really great ones. I mean, they can really get up there and just rock, right? I
I
mean,
oh they were she was just awesome. She would be somebody I would really want to talk to, and like, how did she fight through all the, the struggles with her music? Like, how did she all do it? If I could just like talk her ear off for one day, I would.
so what are some of the challenges you face as a female artist coming into this business? And obviously, super dedicated. What are some of the challenges you've overcome personally?
Is really getting my name out there. Really pushing, like, the especially being a rock female artist, it is very male dominated, so you really got to push harder. And I've pushed myself over so many times, pushing my name out there to the point where, like, I've had a lot of the male artists like start supporting me and respecting me. Like, man, you won't let go of anything. Like, you're just push, 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 push. Like, I have respect for you because you are passionate about this. You're real about this. Like, this is awesome. You're just not out there just to, be pretty on stage. You actually want to be an artist. You want to play your music. You're not wanting to be flashy and all this. You're just wanting to be that artist. And I have respect for that. You're pushing so hard. You're so different. And yeah.
It's not going to come to you, right? You got to get
Yeah.
out there. You got to be aggressive, and
Yes.
yeah, this is not an industry for the shy, I would imagine.
Yes, I definitely learned that right away because I am a shy person, and I learned right away, like, I got to break out of this shell real quick.
So how did you get over that initial shyness, and what was it that kind of that said, yeah, this is what I want to be doing?
um, Growing up, I was very shy, very nervous, and to kind of start getting out of my shell, I started playing at church, just my hometown church. Just kind of started testing the waters with that, and eventually it kind of moved into that to a small cover band, and then eventually started moving into playing my own music. First, I was a solo artist just playing acoustically, and I started getting over this being nervous on stage. It took a few years. Like it took me a while to get over this. Like, oh
It's a
my God.
process for all of us, yeah, to find get your sea legs and to feel
It
confident up
is.
there and find your unique voice and then be really give it all.
Yeah, it took me a good while, and I love being on stage now. I just like I still get nervous, but I find that it is a good thing. Like, okay, I got the butterflies in my stomach. I can feel the energy out there. Like I'm ready to do this.
We got a question, our first question from the audience. This is Sheila from San Diego, and she asks, do you have a concert that you remember that's being particularly exciting? That's something that'll be with you always.
Oh, it would definitely have to be the Warrant one because that is where I had met that A&R rep, and I had collided with another band that was so cool that night. They they hung out with us. We were there until like 2, 3 in the morning at this club, and she was there, and she followed me throughout the entire day. She was just like, I really like you. You just are amazing. She's like, I want you to meet these people, and she signed Seether, she signed Evanescence, she signed Creed, she signed some really big artists, and she was a really cool person. And she's like, I want to exchange numbers with you, and I'm like, oh my God, like is this really happening right now?
That's exciting. And how many people were in the audience? What was it? What was the energy that night?
It was really cool. There was like a lot of the bands that were there were really supportive. They when they weren't playing their set, they were there in front of the stage, right there with you. It was a benefit because for a town that got hit by an F5 tornado, so we did a benefit for them, and we actually had a pretty cool turnout with people coming out and just supporting the people other that had actually lost their homes and lost everything. That was a show that I will not forget. It was amazing. The bands were supportive, the people there were supportive, and like that woman was there, she was awesome. The people behind the bar, I mean, they were so cool. By the end of the night, they knew who you were, and they knew your name, and the next time you went in, they're like, hey Ashley, how you doing? They were so cool.
We got another question from Stephen from Florida, and he asks, so in your songs, do you have any songs that that particularly move you and make you that have been really emotional as you've written them and recorded them?
Oh, I would definitely say What You Deserve would be definitely one of them. That song is more of a karma song, like you done me wrong. Karma's going to come back to bite you. You're going to get what you deserve in the end. That one is definitely a good
That's
one.
a great one because that's a universal human feeling. You know, we
Yeah.
all have that, male, female. It's all the same. And what's it like when you hear a song like that's tied? You wrote that when you were 16, and that now that you're older, when you hear it again, I know when I watch recordings I did from the past, it's like, oh, I remember when I did that. I remember the first violin. I remember what I was doing off stage. You know, how did those memories kind of lock in for you?
Growing up, I was bullied a lot in school and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So I really took to music because that was like more of my escape. And I wanted to write a song that kind of reflect that. Like, even though you've bullied me, you're gonna regret what you did. It's gonna come back. It's Karma's gonna come back to bite you. You're not gonna escape karma. It's always there.
Music is a refuge for so many people
Mhm.
who may not like fit in, quote unquote, fit in, and they find that they can get their voice out there. It's a very healthy advocate. What advice do you have for young people who are coming up, who maybe are being bullied like you were?
Um, definitely music was my escape for this. It definitely gave me a platform to tell my story that for young artists or young people who are going through the same thing, like you have a voice. Like they, even though these bullies, they try to crush you, they try to destroy you, they think that they can just walk all over you. Your voice is stronger than that. Your music can get out there and get to as many listeners as possible, and those people out there that are, whether they're being bullied or whatever, they can hear your story, like, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what she did. I'm going to get my voice out there. They can't stop me.
No one's going to stop you. You're obviously very dedicated to your music, and you're going to do it no matter what. And that's
Yep.
so exciting. And it's great to get to know you because I look forward to seeing where your music goes in the next chapter.
I am too. I'm looking forward to where my next chapter leads. Like, what's my next chapter? What's going to happen after all this, cools down with COVID and stuff, like what's going to happen. I'm pretty excited.
What do you guess? There's going to be so many changes in society coming out of this, and none of us really know. But what do you think are some of the changes that are going to happen in the industry as we move and turn that page?
I'm not really sure what will happen and what will happen to shows. Are we going to go back to normal shows? I did see an article where they were putting people like in those big bubble things. I don't know what they are.
Hamster balls. We'll put us all in hamster balls. That'd be fun.
Those. I'm like, okay, that's fun, I guess. I don't know how the industry is going to be with the whole COVID thing. Like, are we going to have drive-in like shows, like drive-in theaters? I've seen those. Like, is that going to be the new norm? Like, that's going to be kind of different. No crowd surfing. Like, I want to see that.
Do the crowds they surf during your shows?
I've never had somebody surf at my crowd, but I've been to other shows where I've seen it, and it's like, that is awesome.
We saw Flogging Molly, and they were doing this incredible like mosh dance, and I was there with my kids. I'm like, I'm not going to participate in that. I'm too old. I'm going to go over there and watch, but I love the music.
yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'm going to get away from the moshing. I'm too small for this.
I will get stomped on.
yes. Like I've seen like one show. It had been a metal band. I saw the video where it was a giant mosh pit, but he had one crowd go on the one side and the other side, and then he had them charge at each other like it was some kind of big medieval battle, and it was hilarious. Like, I don't want to be part of that.
So, have you played in a band with your boyfriend?
He's actually played in my band a few times where he's came in, he's filled in for guitar parts. Like if my guitar player's like, hey, I got another show, or hey, I'm gonna be doing this other project, I'm like, hey, can you mind playing? He's like, yeah, that's no problem.
That's awesome. Yeah. You guys can work together.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get to go on the road together, and you get to I always find it interesting when people can mix their kind of work life and their partnerships. It's just really exciting.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, he's been an extremely amazing help, and he's an amazing musician. I was like, wow.
It's great to have someone that can inspire you that way and push you to be better in your music.
Oh yeah, definitely. He definitely has.
What is something that you've learned in the COVID period about yourself? Because we've all had to make such... I started this podcast talking to a lot of the professional colleagues I had about how do creative professionals remain creative when their primary mode of communication is taken away. And I've been so amazed by how people have pivoted and how they've kind of rethought about art to remain a creative professional.
Yeah, it's been crazy with the whole pandemic thing. At first, I didn't know what to do. Like, is this kind of going to clear up a little bit, or what's it going to do? So with my creativity, I've really I stepped back, and I've really, like I said, I've really started analyzing myself and analyzing my music, and I have taken this time to really look at things, and this is where like I really want to get into theater type stuff with my music. I really want to approach this in a different way. I really want to give a show. I'm really into, I guess, royalty or whatever. Like, I am going to go into this completely spin everything the opposite way. It's from the biker look now to this look where I'm going to wear body armor, like real actual like black leather armor that you've seen medieval people wear. And I'm just
cool.
I'm changing everything, and I'm really bringing in this whole new light with my music, and I'm really taking the creative side of things, and I'm really running with it this time.
Ashley, that's so exciting. Where can people go to find out more about you and your music?
You can check out my music on my website at www.ashleybeanband.net or on my Facebook page, Ashley Bean Band. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Awesome. And on YouTube, and get out there and listen to her on Spotify. You can go check out her incredible music and her unique style. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we can't wait to see you as the next chapter unfolds.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. This was a blast.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube and smash that bell icon for the most up-to-date information and upcoming guests and topics. We have a show tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have violin virtuoso Kinga Augustine, who just put out a new album, is going to discuss with us what it's like to be turning in time. Some really great repertoire on that album. Hope you can join us. And remember, keep music alive.
Are they even open? No one's even here.
Yeah, my friends are on the inside.
Fine. You guys have 1 hour. If you're not back out, I'm leaving and you're walking home.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
fine.
Yeah, whatever. Fair enough.
Okay, fine.
Deal. Fine.
Bye.
Can't believe Mom's only letting us stay for an hour. It's not fair.
I know.
Yeah, it's
we're in
crazy.
high school.
Hey, wait. This building is huge. What do you think's inside?
I don't know, but there's a thing in the corner.
That, I'm creeped out.
I don't want to go near that corner.
Let's go inside.
Okay. You first. I think Mom was right. There's still no line of people.
The door's locked.
Where is everyone? It's really dark.
No one's inside.
Are we sure it's even open?
I don't know.
Do you want to go in?
I don't know. I'm kind of creeped out.
After you.
Okay.
You guys look lost. Welcome to my home. Come in, I insist.
Something's here, dead of night. Something's here with the scary fright. Underneath, it's what you see is now coming Halloween. It's what you see, it's coming. It's what you see on this night on Halloween. This is a scary fright in the dead of night. Hearing screaming within these walls, feeling tearing of these claws. It's what you see, it's coming. It's what you see on this night on Halloween. What you see, it's coming. It's what you see on this night on Halloween. What you see, it's coming. It's what you see on this night on Halloween.
You're not leaving yet.
There's a van outside that left the lights on. Never mind.